We're starting now a brand new Mamor in Likkutei, Parshas Emor. It's on Daf Lamed Aleph, Dibur Hamaschel ונקדשתי. This Mamor was said on Parshas Emor, Tes Vav Iyar, Tov Kuf Samach Gimel. The nusach of the Mamor is Rabbi Moshe, the son of the Alter Rebbe. Let us begin. The pasuk says in our parsha, "ונקדשתי b'seich b'nei Yisrael," and I will be holy. Hashem says, "ונקדשתי," I will be holy, be sanctified, b'seich b'nei Yisrael, amongst the Eden. Lahavin, so the Alter Rebbe is going to ask now a series of questions. Number one is Lahavin ma'u lashon toich. What does it mean? "ונקדשתי b'seich b'nei Yisrael." Why not just say "ונקדשתי b'nei Yisrael"? What does it mean? What's the deal? B'seich b'nei Yisrael. Also, we have to understand this, that the Razal tell us that there are three groups of angels. Kas achas imeres kodesh. One group says kodesh. The kas achas imeres kodesh kodesh, and a second group says the words kodesh kodesh, holy holy. The kas achas imeres, and then a third group says, and we say this every day in davening, kodesh 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 Hashem tzavokis. So we have to understand what does this mean, these three groups? There's three groups of malachim. One says Kaddish, one says Kaddish, Kaddish, another one says Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish. And Alter Rebbe explains the question. What does the Gemara trying to tell us? That the first group says Kaddish. The kas habeis koiflim ve'imrim beis pamim kaddish, and the second group says twice kaddish. The kas hagimel pamim kamesh ano imrim, and the third group says kaddish, and that's what we say every day. So we have to understand what's going on over here. What's this idea of saying three times kaddish? That's question number 2. Question number 3. Niksiv. It says in the gam tzar lahavin mashikosav ben nazir. Also, we have to understand what it says regarding a nazir. Gam lashon kaddish. It also uses the expression of holy. Mashikosav, as the pasuk says in Parshas Nosai, Perek Vav pasuk Hey, Kaddish yeh gadel pera. You should be holy. You should let your hair out. So it uses also the expression of kaddish by a nazir. Okay, so that's number 3. Hiniksiv as well, it says, Srafim Eimdim Mima Aloi. It says in Yeshaya Vav Pasuk Beis, Srafim Eimdim, that the Mima Aloi, which literally means the angels, the Srafim angels, are standing higher than Hashem. So the question is, Veishlahavin Eichi Tachin Shiamdu Mima L'Shchina. How is it possible to say that the Malachim stand higher than the Shchina? V'aloi Heim Nivroim Bali Gvul. Even though they're malachim, at the end of the day, they are creatures and they're limited. As well, Hiniksiv, it says also in Yeshaya, Hiniksiv, it says in Tilim, Ki imcha mikir chayim, that with you is the source of life. Asks the Alter Rebbe, V'lama leinemar ve'ata. Why doesn't it say, Ve'ata mikir chayim? You, Hashem, is the source of life. What does it mean, Ki imcha mikir chayim? Fine. So we have basically 5 questions, right? Number 1 is, what's this idea of Kaddish, Kaddish, Kaddish 3 times? Number 2 is, why does it use the expression of Kaddish as well by a Nazir? Number 3, Srafim ein mima loy, it's mashma that Hashem, that the Srafim are higher than the Eibishter. Number 4, what does it mean? Okay, so it's 4 questions. Oh, well, we had also in the beginning, what's the idea of Teich? So that's really, it's 5 questions. And why does it say Ki imcha mekir chayim and not ve'ata mekir chayim? So the Alter Rebbe says v'yuvin ze behektim lahavim pirush v'inyan kaddish. We'll understand this by first prefacing what is the idea, what does it mean to be holy? Tihine kaddish pirushay muvdal. When the Torah uses the expression of holy, it means that you're separated. Tahainu, kameshikosov, as the pasuk says, ani havaya lo shanisi. I am Hashem, who does not change. That Hashem is the same before the world was created and after the world was created. As it says, you are Hashem before you created the world, you are Hashem after created the world. What does that mean to say? When we're saying, when the pasuk says Ani Hashem Leisha Nisi and Atu Kedem Shenivra Elam, Va'atu La'achar Shenivra, which means that even though Hashem created the world and created a very sophisticated realms and even higher celestial realms, nonetheless, the Gabi Hashem, nothing changed by Hashem. I am the first, I am the last. Because Hashem is separated from the world. So when we say Hashem is Kaddish, what does that mean? Hashem is separated from the world. Even though there could be a big universe, and as we said, a very sophisticated universe, but to Hashem, He's moved from it. He's separated from it. It doesn't do anything the Gabi the Eibishter. And he's going to give an example, the Gabi the Neshama and the Guf. So he says like this. The Hainu, what does that mean? This that Hashem gives life and vitality to the world, it's not like the example when the soul gives chayis to the body. The essence of the soul encloses itself in the body to give the body sustenance, life. So the nefesh, like really becomes attached and enclosed in the body. Now, once the soul comes into the body, so the vitality, the life that from the nefesh that comes and enclosed in a body, is divided into three levels. Number one is you have the way that the chayis from the nefesh comes and encloses itself in the actual body. And then you have how the chayis is in the actual body. And then you have also how the vitality is in the foot. So the chayis nefesh, when the nefesh comes into the body to give it actual life, it's divided into three levels. You have the way the chayis goes into the reish. You have the way the chayis goes into the guf, and you have the way the chayis goes into the feet. And he explains. Shachayis hamelubish behareish nala yoser harbe ma'chayis shebeguf. The chayis, which is enclosed in the head, is a lot higher than the chayis in the body. You see this in actuality. In the head, you have all the inner chayis, the hainu. You have the koyach hamachshava, the aseichel, the achushim hamu'ulim, shebepanim, re'iyah shmiya. You have the power to think. You have the intellect. You have the capabilities to see, to hear, to smell. And that's all in the face. It's in the head. So the chayis from the nefesh that comes into the head is a lot stronger than the guf. Then he says, and the chayis of the guf is lower. Over there you have the emotions of the heart, which the emotions are lower than the intellect. And also the koyach of actually doing things with your hand is lower than the chushim in the face. And then you have and then you have the way that the chayis of the nefesh goes into the feet, which is much lower than the guf and of course the reish. Now, the Alter Rebbe explains, why is that? Because the meichen of the reish, the intellect in the head, receives the chayis in a much pneumistic way, hainu pneumis and nefesh, from the inner of the nefesh. So the reish is getting the chayis from the pneumis of the nefesh. And then the lower part of the reish goes into the guf. לכן החייס שבגוף הוא למטה מדרגה מהחייס שבריש. וכן על דרך זה מהגוף לרגליים. So שהחייס המשפשת ממהוס הנפש משחלק לגימל חלקים כללים הנ"ל. So this chayis that we're explaining that comes from the nefesh and enclosed in the body, this is divided into three parts. Reish, guf, raglayim. And every single side of the face, side of the body, side of the feet, they all have different limbs, as it's known. But in general, we divide them into three levels. So the reason why there's differences is because basically it's dependent on the keli. So in the reish, it's more of a keli to accept the chayis, so it's much stronger. When it comes to the guf and the guf and the raglayim, it's much weaker. So he says, V'nimtza comes out, Sha'achayis ha'nefesh nitbeses u'mislabeshes mamash b'seich kli ha'guf. So it comes out that the chayis of the nefesh, mamash the clothes in the body. Therefore, mischalak ha'chayis hazeh mispashes b'mena v'nitbes ba'guf. L'fi muhus ha'kelim shel guf. So based on the kelim of the guf is how based on the capabilities of the keli, of the receptacle, is how much chayis it could receive. Since the vessels, since the kelim of the meichin are a lot stronger than the guf, that's why they receive the chayis much stronger. So basically what Alter Rebbe is trying to say is, don't think of the chayis that if you want to understand how Hashem is machai the world, think about it by a nefesh and a guf. You have the nefesh, you have the nefesh achiyunis, which is the soul which gives the life to the body, and you see that the nefesh achiyunis, his power is a lot stronger in the meichin than the guf, and it's a lot stronger in the guf than the raglayim. Alter Rebbe says, don't think about it that way. This that Hashem gives life force to the world, it's not like that. There's no division when it comes to Hashem. You can't say about Hashem that this is the head and this is the end. Hashem is the beginning and the end. Because Hashem does not enclose himself at all in the actual worlds. Not like Hashem enclosed himself in the body. Now, therefore, in so therefore, when Hashem gives life and vitality to the world, it's not shaykh to say that there is division. Why? Because when do you get division? Is when something is enclosed. Again, he's repeating himself. The way the stronger the kli is, the stronger the force is. And this is only shaykh to say when it encloses itself in kelim. But by Hashem, since Hashem is not enclosing his chayis in the world, so it's not shaykh that there's going to be divisions. And that's why he concludes with Zeh Pirish V'Inyan Kodesh. This is what it means, what we say about Hashem. Kodesh, the Hainu Yisbarech, Kodesh, move the Meilamis. That Hashem is separated from the worlds, even though Hashem actually, as we know, the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, he's constantly creating the world from something to nothing. Hashem doesn't actually enclose himself in the world. That's why Hashem is not affected by this at all. However, when it comes to the neshama, I should say the nefesh, when the nefesh actually comes and encloses itself in the body, so then the nefesh will be affected. The kelim of the body has an effect on the nefesh. But by Hashem enclothing himself in the world, and he's creating the world, yesh ma'ayin, there's absolutely any hispilus whatsoever at all. So basically, what we said in Aleph, we asked a series of questions. We asked 5 questions. Why does it say b'seich b'nei Yisrael? What's this lashon teich? What's this idea of kadosh that the malachim say? There's 3 groups: kadosh, 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 and we are like the 3rd group that say kadosh 3 times. Why does it use the expression of kadosh by a nazir as well? What does it mean that Srafim Eindu Meimal Loi, that the Srafim are higher than Hashem? And we asked as well, what does it mean, Ki Imcha Mekor Chaim, why not say Va'ata? So the Alter Rebbe got into, to explain this, we first have to explain what's the idea of Kaddish. And Kaddish means muvdal, separated. That Hashem is separated from the world. And therefore, even though when Hashem encloses His Chayes into the world, it doesn't affect Hashem at all. And the Alter Rebbe says, not like the nefesh, when it goes into the body, it's divided into 3 levels, either the reish, the guf, or the raglayim. It's very different. When the chayas, when there's vitality that goes into the nefesh, since it becomes one with the body, so it actually, the body, the kelim actually affect the nefesh as well, and it's only able to enclose in a higher level by the reish, and a lower level by the guf, and the lowest level by the raglayim. Hashem in the Eivishter, when he enclosed in the world, since he's giving vitality, but not in a way of slapshus, therefore it makes no effect to Hashem at all. Okay, now the Alter Rebbe is going to ask in Beis that we see in places not the case. So now he says in Beis again, we're holding Lamed Aleph, 2nd paragraph of Omnum. Alter Rebbe says, and we have to understand, how could you say that in Aleph, that in regards to Hashem, that since Hashem is not mislabish into the world, there's no ischalkos, there's no division. But he says, but in Bria Sa'ilim, there's also division. You have Seder Ishtalshlos, Mal Gavei Shemer. Even in this world, you see different madregas. You have the daimim, you have the inanimate, you have the tzemeach, you have the vegetation, you have the level of chai, which is an animal, and you have the level of medaber, which is a person. So you see, even in this world, you see that there's a division. In general, you also have the world is divided into 3 levels. As it says, for my honor, barosiv, Yitzartiv Afasisiv, which we said many times, this is the level of Bria, Yitzira, and Asiyah. Shein Gimel Oilameis Klolim, which they are general, 3 general worlds, right? Ubahem Pratim Rabim. So it's Bria, Yitzira, Asiyah, and in more detail, you have Gan Eden Elyon, Gan Eden Atachtin, Ve'elam Hazeh. You have the higher Gan Eden, you have the lower Gan Eden, you have Ve'elam Hazeh. U'mamar Shal Derech Moshul. This is the exact analogy that we gave before of how the body is receiving its vitality from the nefesh, which we said before, which is divided into 3 levels of reish, guf, and regel. So the Alter Rebbe is asking on himself, and he's going to explain a little bit more, that l'chayra we see in the world there's also iskalkus. It says in regards to Elam Hazeh v'ha'aretz, says the Oretz Hadoim Ragloi, that the world is my footstool. So the world is like the regel of Hashem. And Gan Eden Atachtin is Kimshal HaGuf, is like the body. Shishon Mishkan HaMidish Belev, just like in the body, the resides, the emotions of the person. Kachneda. Also it's known that B'shis Svirin, that the 6 emotions of the Eibishter, where do they reside? They reside in the world of Yitzira. What does that mean? That means that where is the midas of Hashem revealed in the world of Yitzira? So these levels, the revelation of the midas, are in the level of Yitzira. And the Gan Eden Elyon and Gan Eden Elyon, Shom Gilei B'chinas Chabad Atzmon, the Ein Seif Baruch Hu, the Neshama is Hayoshvim and Meziv in the level of Gan Eden Atachtin. Over there reveals the level of Chabad, the Ein Seif, for the Neshamas who are sitting and enjoying. The Ray, And this is like Haroi Shaboy Mishkan HaSeichel. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe asks, if so, move on, Mizah Shachais, and Nimshach Menu Yisparach B'Elam Eis Gamkin, Mischalek, B'Seichel, Lichaluk Madregas, Kumel Derech Moshel Chais, HaMespashit, Mahanefesh Ba'Guf. By Ischalkos Nimshach Mitzad Yislapshus B'Kelim, V'Imkein Nida Shachais, and Nimshach Menu Yisparach, Gamkin, Mislavish B'Seichel. So the Alter Rebbe asks a very simple question. I see that even in the Eibishter's Chais, just like you have that the Nefesh is divided into Roish, Guf, and Regel, I see the same thing in regards to the chayis that Hashem gives the world. You have the way that Hashem gives vitality to the world in the oilam of in the oifen of ragloi, ha'oretz hadoim ragloi. You have Gan Eden hatachtin, which that is like the mashal of the guf, which in Gan Eden hatachtin, which this is the level of Yitzira. Over there, you have the 6 emotions of Hashem, and Gan Eden Elyon, which is the level of Chabad, Chochmah, Bina Das, of Ein Sof. That's like the Reish. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe asks, I see clearly that the chayis of the world there's also ischalkus even in chayis of the world. I see clearly. Razal tell us in Perakama de Brachis that we compare the chayis that's enclosed in this world. The Seder Hamshachas HaChayis Manevish Ba'Guf. If you look. The Gemara in Brachos, Daf Yud Amud Aleph says, "Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu Molei Kol Ha'olam." Just like the Gemara says clearly, just like Hashem fills the entire world, Af HaNeshama Meleas Kol HaGuf. So too the Neshama fills the entire body. So we see that we're comparing the Eibishter to the Neshama. Of a Medrash Tilim, and in Medrash Tilim, Al Pasuk Baruch Afshi Amru, on the pasuk that David HaMelech says, "Bless my soul, Ma HaNefesh Memalas HaGuf," just like the Nefesh fills the body, so to Hashem fulfills the world. And we explained before that when the neshama encloses itself in the body, this is in a way of enclothing, and it's very, very, and it's one with the chayis. If so, Rebbe explains again that we see how I'm comparing these slapshus achayis of the elamais with the neshama. And this is the exact opposite that Rebbe says, which I explained in Ais Aleph, that Hashem is Kadosh Umuvdal. That Hashem is not enclosing the world in a way of His slapshus. And this is a great principle in Torah. As it's known that He is Teifus in all the worlds, but there's nobody, like the Zohar says, there's nobody that is Teifus Him. So for sure there's a chayis which is enclosed in the world in an inner way. And just like you have when the nefesh of the guf comes into the guf, you have different levels, so too in the world. However, the general chayis that is enclosed in this world, it's only in a way of a ray. That the only thing that really is enclosed is the ziv, is the ray of Hashem. And this is called in Hasidic terms the level of memalik kol almin, memalik kol almin. So when we say memalik kol almin, what does that mean? Upidish shachayis shnimshach imenu yispark listabish b'teichis elam is mamish hurab kina ziva or levad mashchina baruch hu. That when the Shechina comes down, it's only in the way of Ziv. That the level of Ziv, which comes in Memalik Kalamim, or the whole so when we say that there's Gan Eden Elyon and Gan Eden Tachten and Haaretz, that's the level of Memalik Kalamim. This is what in the Zohar it's called the revealed worlds. Why? What does it say on this level? Sorry, from my flesh, which means mamish. I mamish team. In a way of revelation. She says, what's this idea? What's this? Just like when you see in your body, you see a nefesh which is giving chayes to the body. It should be stalkus and nefesh maguf ozinasa haguf peger kaeven. If God forbid the nefesh of the body goes away from the body, so the body will be just a corpse, it will be dead like a stone. Like we see by a person when he goes to sleep at night, as we know that the neshama leaves the body, and there's only like a reishim of the chayis. Harishina, and we know Shina is achas misamach b'misa. The Gemara says that going to sleep, there's like 1/60th of death. That's why we make the bracha every morning. Baruch Hashem, ha'machas and neshamas tifkar mason, that Hashem returns on neshama to the corpse which was dead. Why? Every day we get a new chayis. Even though we don't see the actual mahus of the nefesh, how it functions, we know that the nefesh is melubash to the guf. Sharnir lanu pulasa shaguf chayim mimenu shemitzad atzma guf ukeven bistalk nefesh mimenu. And kin nefesh ubchinas gilim mamish etzleinu shnir lanu in yislapshus nefesh beguf aval bi she'ena mahus musa we need a mashahu. Kachu mamish exalekas. So same thing with regards to Hashem. We see that the world is like a big body. Obviously, there's somebody giving vitality to the world. So it works like that with the world, and so too it works. Good start. I'm almost done. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Dafke. I'm sorry, honor Magish Never. Just like you see that the Mipsara, you see and you feel the Hashem. You see, he slaps his achayis b'nas malak lamim. Animshach mein save baruch hu. B'seichi seilem es mamish k'mei shanashama amleis kol aguf. Kach achayis zem es chalak v'gimel b'chinas klodim. V'nedin elyin v'nedin tachta v'nedin mazal v'chinik b'chinas malak lamim almud this guy. So basically, what he's saying is that in general you have Mamali and Seviv. Mamali is the way Hashem is mizlubish in the world. It's only a ziv, and that's divided into 3 levels. But the higher levels of Hashem, there's no level of islapshus. Okay.